Hello students and welcome to the new lecture session. Myself Shanko Ghosh, Assistant Professor of Automobile Engineering Department at Dr. Sudhir Chandrasur Degree Engineering College under the JIS group. Today, today we will discuss on a new topic, that is VVT or Variable Valve Timing. This is the module. This topic is taken from the module number 5 of latest engine technology and features. This is the this topic is taken from the subject of the modern vehicle technology or AUE 704B. So these are the 7 semester syllabus of automobile engineering department students. Before starting today's class, we need to know about the objectives of this class. The objectives of this classes are students I understand they can learn about the variable valve timing. They can learn the what typical timing adjustment. Then they can understand about the working principle of its various types or modes of the VVT, its advantages and disadvantages. So students, let's start the today's class on VVT. And in IC engine or internal combustion engines, variable valve timing or VVT is the process of alterning the timing of valve lift event and is often used to improve performance fuel economy or the emissions. It is increasingly being used in the combustion with the variable valve lift system. So students, the VVT is a process. VVT or the variable valve timing is the process of alterning the timing of valve lift event, and it is often used to improve the performance, fuel economy and the emissions also. It is increasingly being used in combustion with variable valve lift system. There are many ways in which this can be achieved, ranging from the mechanical device to the electric, hydraulic and the camless engines. The increasingly strict emission regulations are causing many automotive manufacturers to use the VVT systems. The valves within an IC engines are used to control the valve within an IC engine are used to control the flow of the intake and the exhaust gases. To control the flow of the intake and the exhaust gases into and out of the combustion chamber. The timing, duration and the lift of these valve events has a significant impact on engine performance. Without a variable valve timing, actuation system is freed from this constant. An engine equipped with a variable valve timing actuation system is freed from this constant and allowing performance to be improved over the engine operating range. Piston engine normally use valves which are driven by the camshaft. The cam open or the lift the valve for a certain amount of time and during each intake and the exhaust cycle. The timing of the valve opening and closing relative to the position of the crankshaft is more important. The camshaft is driven the camshaft is driven by the crankshaft, so the timing bell, gear or chain. An engine requires large amount of air when operating at high speed. However, the intake valve may close before enough air. However, the intake valve may close before enough air has entered each combustion chamber, and that's why it reducing the performance. On the other hand, if the camshaft keeps the valve open for longer period of time, as with a racing cam, problems start to occur at the lower engine speed. Opening the intake valve and while the exhaust valve is still open may causes unwanted fuel to exit the engine and leading the lower engine performance and also increase the engine's emissions. Increase the engine's emission. Now come to the history. Fiat was the first auto manufacturer to patent. Fiat was the first auto manufacturer to patent a functional automotive variable valve timing system which included variable lift. The developed by Giovanni Tarazza in the late 1960s. Developed by Giovanni Tarazza in the late 1960s. The system used hydraulic pressure to vary the fulcrum of the cam follower. That is the US patent, and the patent number was 36,41,988. So, and then the hydraulic pressure changed, and the hydraulic pressure changed according to engine speed and intake pressure. The hydraulic pressure changed according to engine and the intake pressure. The typical opening variation was 37%. In the September 1975, General Motors or GM patented a system intended a very valve lift. GM was interested in throttling the intake valve in order to reduce emissions. This was done by minimizing the amount of lift at low load to keep the intake velocity. higher, and thereby the atomizing the intake charge. And the General Motor encountered problem running at the very low lift and abandoned the project. Next, the Alfa Romeo was the first manufacturer. Then Alfa Romeo was the first manufacturer to use the VVT system in the production car. According to the US patent number 42,31,330. The 1980 Alfa Romeo Spider 2.0 and NSP. In the 1980, the Alfa Romeo Spider and NSP L had a mechanical VVT system in Spica fuel injected car sold in the US. Later this was also used in the 1983 Alfetta 2.0 Quadrifoglio Oro models as well as the other car. And the system was engineered by Ing Giampaolo Gracia. In the 1970s. And the Honda REV motorcycle engine. The Honda's REV motorcycle engines employed on the Japanese market only Honda CBR 400F in 1983 provided a technology based for VTEC. Now coming to the typical effect, knowing the typical effect of timing adjustment. So there are the 4 effects. Those are late intake valve closing, or LIVC. Next is early intake valve closing, or EIVC. Next is early intake valve opening, and last one is early or late exhaust valve closing, So these 4 are the main critical effect of the timing adjustment. Late intake valve closing, or LIVC. The first variation of continuous variable valve timing involves holding the intake valve open slightly longer than a traditional engine. This results in the piston actually pushing air out of the cylinder and back into the intake manifold during the compression stroke. The air which is expelled fills the manifold with the higher pressure, and on subsequent intake stroke, the air which is taken in at a higher pressure. The leg intake valve closing has been shown to reduce a pumping loss. Has been shown the reducing of the pumping loss by 40% during the partial load condition, and to decrease nitrous oxide emission by 24%. Spark engine torque showed only a 1% decline, and hydrocarbon emissions were unchanged. Next is early intake valve closing. Another way to decrease the pumping loss, pumping losses, which is associated with the low engine speed with high vacuum condition. Low engine speed with the high vacuum condition, which is by closing the intake valve earlier than the normal. This involves closing the intake valve, and this involves the closing of the inlet valve, closing the intake valve midway through the intake stroke. Air fuel demands are so low. Air fuel ratio demands are so low at low load condition, and the work required to fill with cylinder is relatively high. So early intake valve closing. Early intake valve closing greatly reduces the pumping loss. Studies have been shown the early intake valve closing. The studies have been shown that the early intake valve closing by the 40% reduces the pumping loss by the 40%, and 7% increases the fuel economy, and it also reduces the NOx by 24% at the partial load condition. A possible downside to early intake valve closing is that it significantly lower the temperature of the combustion chamber, which can increase the hydrocarbon emissions, Next is early intake valve opening. Early intake valve opening is another variation that has significant potential to reduce the emission. Significant potential to reduce the emission. In a traditional engine, a process called valve overlap is used to aid in control the cylinder temperature. By opening the intake valve early, some of the inert or the combusted exhaust gas will flow out of the cylinder via the intake valve, and where it cool where it cools momentarily in the intake manifold. The inert gas then fills the cylinder. This inert gas then fills the cylinder in the combustion in the subsequent intake stroke, which aids in control the temperature of the cylinder and the NOx emissions. And it also improves the volumetric efficiency because there is less exhaust gas to be expelled on the exhaust stroke. Next one is early or late exhaust valve closing. Early and late exhaust valve closing timing can be manipulated to reduce to reduce the emission. Traditionally, the exhaust valve open and exhaust gas is pushed out of the cylinder and into the exhaust manifold by the piston as it travels upward. By manipulating the timing of the exhaust valve, engineers can control how much exhaust gas is left in the cylinder. By holding the exhaust valve open slightly longer, the cylinder is empty mode and ready to be filled with a bigger air-fuel charge on the intake stroke. By closing the valve slightly early, more exhaust gas remain in the cylinder, which increases fuel efficiency. This allows for more efficient operation. Under the all conditions. Now we discuss about the methods. The various methods of the VVT. That are cam switching, cam phasing, oscillating cam, eccentric cam driven, CD cam loop, two shaft combined cam loop profile, coaxial two shaft combined cam loop profile, helical camshaft, and hydraulic system. So then let's discuss discussions to start the cam switching. This method uses two cam profile with an actuator to swap between the profiles. The cam switching can also provide variable valve timing and the variable duration. However, the adjustment is discrete rather than the continuous. The first production of use of this was the Honda VTEC system. VTEC changes hydraulic pressure to actuate a pin that looks the high duration rocker arm to an adjacent low lift and low duration rocker arms. So this is the cam. Many production VVT systems are the cam phasing time using a device which is known as the variator. This allows continuous adjustment of cam timing. However, the duration and lift cannot be adjusted, and this allows the engine to deliver high power but also to work tractably and effectively at lower power. There are many systems for VVT which involve changing either the relative timing, duration or operation of the engine's inlet air and exhaust valve. On the first practical VVT system, use a variator to change the phase of the camshaft and the valves. This simple system cannot be changed the duration of valve opening or their lift. Later, VVT systems such as the helical camshaft, or the movable fulcrum system could change these factors too. Despite this limitation, variator is a relatively simple device. To add. Really simple device to add to an existing engine, and so they remain in the service today. As the benefit of the variator relies on changing the relatively timing between the inlet and exhaust, the variator system are only applied to double overhead camshaft engine. A variator system that moved a single camshaft for both inlet and exhaust would be possible, but would have to performance benefits. Next is the oscillation cam. This design use an oscillating or rocking motion in the part cam lobe, which acts on a follower. This follower then open and close the valve. The principle is similar. To steam engine, where the amount of steam entering the cylinder and regulated by the steam cutoff point. The advantage of this design is the adjustment of lift and duration is continuous. However, in this system, lift is proportional to the duration. So lift and duration cannot be separately adjusted. The BMW, Valvetronic, Nissan VVEL and Toyota Valvematic oscillating cam system act on the intake valves only. Next is eccentric cam drive. Eccentric cam drive system operates through an eccentric drive mechanism which slows and speeds up an angular speed of the cam lobe during its rotation. Arranging the lobe to slow during its open period is equivalent to lengthening its duration. The advantages of this system is that duration can be varied independent of lift. The drawback is two eccentric drives and controllers are needed for each cylinder, which increases complexity and the cost. MG Rover is the only manufacturer that has released engines using this system. Next is the 3D cam lobe. The system consists of cam lobe that varies along its length. One end of the cam lobe has a short duration reduced lift profile and the other end has a longer duration the greater lift profile. In between, the lobe provides a smooth transition between these two profiles by shifting area of the cam lobe which in the content with the follower, and the lift and the duration can be continuously altered. This is achieved by moving the camshaft axially to a stationary follower is exposed to a varying lobe profile to produce different amount of lift and duration. The downside to this arrangement is that the cam and follower profile must be carefully designed to minimize contact stress. Ferrari is commonly associated with this system. However, it is unknown whether any production model to date have used this system. Next is the two-shaft combined cam low profile. It consists of two parallel camshafts with a pivoting follower that span both camshaft is as camshaft and is acted on by two lobes simultaneously. Each camshaft has a facing mechanism which allows its angular position and relative to the engine's crankshaft to be adjusted. One lobe controls an opening of a valve and the other controls the closing of the same valve. Therefore, variable duration is achieved through the spacing of these two events. The drawback of this design includes at long duration setting, one lobe may be starting to reduce its lift as the other is still increasing. This has the effect the lessening the overall lift and possibly causing dynamic problem. On the company claim to have solved the uneven rate of opening of the valve problem to some extent, thus allowing thus the duration of a full lift. The size of the system due to the parallel shaft and the follower, large follower, etc. Next one is the coaxial two-shaft combined cam low profile. The operating principle is that the one follower span the pair is closely spaced loop up to the angular limit of the nose radius. This follower sees the combined surface of the two lobes as a continuous smooth surface. When the lobes are exactly aligned, the duration is at a minimum, and when at the extreme center extend to their misalignment, the duration is at a maximum. The basic limitation of the scheme is that only a duration variation equal to that of the lobe nose to radius is possible. In practice, this type of variable cam has a maximum range of duration variation of about 40 crankshaft D. Next is the helical camshaft, known as the combined two-shaft coaxial combined profile with the helical movement. It has a similar principle to the previous type and can use the same base duration lobe profile. However, instead of rotation in a single plane, the adjustment is both axial and the rotational, giving a helical or 3-dimensional aspect to its movement. This movement overcomes the restricted duration range in the previous type. The duration range is theoretically unlimited but typically would be of the order of 100 crankshaft degree, which is sufficient to cover most situations. The cam is reportedly difficult. The expenses to produce required very accurate helical matching and the carefully assemble. Next is the hydraulic system. The system utilizes the engine lube oil to control the closure of inlet valve. The intake valve opening mechanism incorporates a valve tappet and a piston inside the chamber. There is a solenoid valve which is controlled by the engine control system, which gets energized and supply oil through a non-return valve during the time of cam lift, and the oil gets filled in the chamber and the channel to the sump is blocked by the valve tappet. During the downward movement of the cam at a particular instant, the return passage open and the oil pressure gets released to the engine shaft. Now coming to the construction of this, the VVT system includes ECM or the engine control module, OCV or the oil control valve, and the VVT control. The ECM sends or the engine control module sends a target duty cycle control signal to the OCV or the oil control valve. This control signal regulates the oil pressure supply to the VVT controller. The camshaft timing control is performed according to engine operating conditions such as the intake air volume, throttle valve position, and the engine coolant temperature. The ECM controls the OCV based on the signal transmitted by the several sensors, and the VVT control regulates the intake camshaft angle using the oil pressure through the OCV. As a result, the relative position of the camshaft and crankshaft are optimized. The engine torque and the fuel economy improved, and the exhaust emission decreased under overall driving condition. The ECM detects the actual intake valve timing using the signal from the camshaft and crankshaft position sensor and perform feedback control. And this is how the target intake valve timing is verified by the ECM. The ECM optimizes the valve timing using the VVT system to control the intake camshaft. The VVT system includes the ECM and the OCV and the VVT control. The VVT and the VVT control can advance to retard or to the intake camshaft. Now coming to the operation. Here is the three type of picture. One column is operation, another column is camshaft timing oil control valve drive signal, and another is description. And in a row there are the three row. One is advanced row, another is retardant row. During the advance, the duty ratio signal looks like a rectangular sign. It means when the camshaft timing oil control valve is positioned, when the camshaft timing oil control valve or OCV is positioned as illustration by the advance signal from the ECM, the resultant oil pressure is applied to the timing advance side. The resultant oil pressure is applied to the timing advance side when chamber to rotate the camshaft in the timing advance direction. So the oil line pressure line during the retarded signal, when the camshaft timing oil control valve is positioned illustration by the retard signal from the ECM, the resultant oil pressure is applied. The resultant oil pressure is applied to the timing retard side vane chamber to rotate the camshaft in the timing retard direction. Hold signal. The ECM calculates the target timing angle according to the traveling side to perform control as described above. After sitting at the target timing, the valve timing is held by keeping the camshaft timing oil controlled valve in the neutral position unless the traveling state changes. This adjusts the valve timing at the desired target position and prevent the engine oil from the running cut, and it is unnecessary. Here is the graph which is shown the engine load, engine speed versus engine load. There is the five region, region 1 and 2, region 3, region 4 and the region 5, and the top portion is a full load performance. So during the ideal one, the valve timing looks like during the during idling, the range is 1. That means in this range, the valve timing looks like this, and the objective is minimize the overlap and reduce blowback to the intake side and the effect is the stabilized ideal RPM, better the fuel economy at a light load. When the range is 2, the valve timing looks like this, and it decrease in the overlap to eliminate blow back to the inside intake side, and effect is to ensure the engine stability. At medium reload, that means that in the range number of 3, the valve timing diagram looks like this. The objective is that the increasing overlap to increase internal EGR for pumping loss eliminated, and the effect is the better fuel economy, improve the emission control. Next is in the low to medium speed range. In the low to the medium speed range, that means the range is 4. When the range is 4, the valve timing diagram looks like this. It means the advancing the intake valve, closing the timing for volumetric efficient improvement. Effect is improve the torque in low to medium speed range. In high speed range, there is heavy load, that is a range of 5. Valve timing showing this type, and the objective is retarding the intake valve close timing for for volumetric efficiency improvement, and effect is the improved output. At low temperature, VVT valve timing looks like this, and the objective is minimizing the overlap to prevent the blowback to the inside intake side for reduction of fuel increases at low temperature and stabilize the idling RPM for decreasing first ideal rotation. And the effect is the stabilized first ideal RPM and the better fuel economy. When the operation stage is that the upon and starting or stopping the engine, the valve timing looks in this timing diagram looks like that, and the objective is to minimizing overlap to minimize blowback to the inside to the intake side, and effect is to improve the stability. So these are the various operational states of the VVT. Now coming to the advantages, it's a better fuel efficiency, high initial torque produced, lower emission, better performances. These are the advantages of this VVT technology. The advantages are the higher cost of engine, more complex mechanism, lower overall engine life because of increases wear. So these are the disadvantages. So class, here after completing this class, you can understand about the variable valve timing diagram and its history, the working principle, its time adjustment process, the methods they are used for this VVT methods, and its operation. So this is the VVT, variable time. On the next class, we will discuss another topic. So till then, stay at home and stay safe. Thank you so much, class.